Welcome to WION's special election show, Race to Power. I'm Ananya Dutt and here's what we have lined up for you. Campaigning is in its last leg in Pakistan. Midnight tonight, Nawaz Sharif and BHUTTO Zardari will make their last attempt to woo the voters. Meanwhile, thanks to artificial intelligence, Imran Khan is campaigning from inside his prison. Alright, in India now, just months before the national elections, a rigging row has taken centre stage. This comes from Chandigarh's mayoral polls. The Supreme Court has received reports of ballot tampering and election fraud. Just about 24 hours to go before Pakistan goes to polls. Today is the last day for election campaigning in the country and the cooling off period begins post-midnight. All parties and independent candidates are pulling out all the stops to woo the country's 120 million voters. Our first stop is in Kasur, near Lahore, in Pakistan's Punjab province, where a mega rally by PMLN took place. Nawaz Sharif, his supporters call him the Lion of Punjab, was accompanied by his brother Shehbaz and daughter Maryam Nawaz at the roadshow.
ये मुल्क के खिलाफ कितनी बड़ी साजिश थी, मगर नवाज शरीफ ने इसके बावजूद भी अपना मुकदमा अल्लाह पे छोड़ा, शहीदों को गाली नहीं दी, यादगारों पर आग नहीं लगाई, किसी को मीर जाफर नहीं कहा और जादू नवाज शरीफ ने इसके 3 मर्तबा इसकी हुकूमत का।
Now going across to Sindh now, where PPP rally was underway in Larkana, led by BHUTTO Zardari. Pakistan People's Party was also seen making a last-ditch effort to woo Pakistan's voters, especially the youth. And lastly, we have Imran Khan's Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. The party, despite its top leader and former Pakistan President, Pakistan's Prime Minister being in jail, has pushed back against the regime's clampdown. And also carried out a massive rally in Punjab province, Kot Adu district. Thousands of party workers and supporters were seen as the rally, giving rise to speculation that Pakistan may be in for some surprises in this year's election. As campaigns and rallies come to an end, it is now up to Pakistan's people to decide who they pick as their next Prime Minister. The question is, will fourth time be a charm for returning leader Nawaz Sharif, or will Pakistan get a young Prime Minister as BHUTTO Zardari? Will leaders of the PTI ride on the wave of growing support, or their jailed party supremo Imran Khan is another question. Now for some latest ground updates, we are being joined by our Pakistan Bureau Chief Anas Malik from Islamabad. Anas, thank you so much for joining us here. What is the latest you have for us from Islamabad?
Well, the stage is set, Ananya, here in Islamabad. We're outside the Election Commission of Pakistan. Pakistan goes to polls in exactly 36 hours from now. 8 o'clock on the 8th of February is when polling begins, and it ends at 5 in the evening. Now, during this time, about 120 million voters will be exercising their right to vote. A total number of 260 million ballot papers have been issued. The military deployment has started, and the deployment will be completed by tomorrow. They will be the third tier of defense, or third line of defense. The first being police, the second being civil armed forces, and the third being the military itself. What is also important to mention is the fact that about 600,000 plus security personnel will be standing guard during these elections, which are set to be underway in about 36 hours from now. Also, what is really interesting is the fact that Pakistan will be voting to elect its 10th National Assembly, its 10th general elections, and a 16th government overall. That being said, all eyes would be on to who gets the throne, because tonight is when, rather in about 4 hours time, is when the election campaigning ends. Both the Pakistan People's Party and the Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz have been holding their rallies, and they've been making tall claims that in case if they come to power, they will change the fate of the country.
Absolutely. Anas, if you could quickly also tell us a little about the youth factor in this year's election. We know that a lot of support behind PTI comes from the youth, and we can also see Bilawal Bhutto Zardari using the same kind of strategy to woo the voters. What do you have to say about that?
Well, about 65% of the voter bank is essentially between 18 to 35 of age. So that will be the dominant factor in these elections that are to take place just day after tomorrow. Both the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf initially and now the Pakistan People's Party have been trying to sway in and cash on the young voter bank. What would be really interesting and important to note is that will this voter, which has historically been associating itself with Imran Khan and the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf's narrative, would they be getting up, getting out and out of their beds to the polling station on the voting day to vote? That is a bigger question. I think the answer to that would be known on the 8th, because if they do, then contrary to projections, we might just see quite of a surprise coming up in the polls that are to be held day after tomorrow. Ananya?
All right, Anas, thank you so much for getting us all those live updates from Islamabad. And as we said, just days to go for national elections in Pakistan. 128 million people are registered on the voting list. But sadly, not everyone is allowed to vote. We bring you the story of a small village in Pakistan where women have been barred from voting for the last 50 long years. Pakistan is the world's 5th most populous nation. It's a country of 241 million people. So expectedly, elections are a high number game here. There are 128 million registered voters for this week's national elections, out of which 46% are women. But that's only on paper. In reality, in many places, politics and voting is still seen as a man's job. Like this tiny village in Pakistan's northeast. Dhurnal is about 200 kilometers from the capital of Islamabad. Here men have forbidden women from voting. That's been the norm for the last 50 long years.
From that time till now, it's the same. Because in this society, a woman is dependent on her husband, father, son, or even her brother. She cannot make decisions alone.
While some trace it back to a petty fight between women voters, others say the restriction is purely patriarchal. In older times, women were needed at home for chores, so going out for voting was seen pointless.
Several years ago, during a period of low literacy rates, a council chairman decreed that if men went out to vote and women followed suit, who would manage household and childcare responsibilities?
Voting is a constitutional right for all adults in Pakistan. But socially conservative areas have not changed with time. The Pakistani government has imposed a quota where 10% of votes cast in every constituency must be by women. However, local officials have found a loophole. In Dhurnal, they rely on neighbouring villages to fill the quota.
These men also don't have the courage to give rights to these women. If women come forth themselves, work on it, start a campaign, then this process can begin.
If that's the voters' side of the story, it is no better with the lawmakers. Pakistan famously elected the world's first Muslim woman leader back in 1988, Benazir Bhutto. But more than 30 years later, only 312 women are competing for National Assembly seats. Compare that to the 4,807 men candidates. The story of Dhurnal village is not an exception. Power and politics continue to be seen as a man's job, and women stand on the periphery waiting to make their way in. Bureau Report, WION, World is One. Now in India, the state of Uttarakhand tabled an important bill today, the Uniform Civil Code, UCC for short. You see, in India, there are personal laws, which means each religion has its own laws, crafted according to their needs. But the UCC changes that, at least it proposes to change that. It proposes a set of laws that governs all citizens, like marriage, divorce, adoption, inheritance, and even succession. What we are going to talk about today is only for the state of Uttarakhand. After the Uttarakhand cabinet agreed on the content of it, the Chief Minister tabled the bill in the State Assembly. It is a 4-volume document with 749 pages. The Chief Minister claims it will be good for all sections of the society and also aligns with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's national vision. Let me get you the big takeaways. Right off the bat, let me tell you, none of these laws are for the tribal communities in India. First, we have the section that regulates live-in relationships. Now, this is important. The bill makes it obligatory for live-in relationship partners to declare the status. This is for everyone, whether they are Uttarakhand residents or not. All couples will have to submit a statement of their live-in relationship, following which the registrar will conduct an inquiry. Any couple that defies this or for more than a month, that is, will be punished, either with a prison sentence of up to 3 months or a fine of up to rupees 10,000. In case the live-in relationship is terminated, even then the couple will have to report it back to the registrar. Let's now come to the marriage section. This bill says that it actually lays down about 5 conditions of a marriage. First, neither party has a spouse living at the time of the marriage. This means that bigamy or polygamy is not allowed. Second is consent of both partners. Third is the man and woman should be above the age of 18. Fourth, marriage is not prohibited under any other law. And fifth, the last one, the union should not be under prohibited relationships. Third comes divorce. Both men and women can approach a court for divorce on various grounds like adultery, mental or physical cruelty or abuse, desertion without cause, and etc. There are a couple of other reasons listed. Women have special rights to seek divorce if the husband has been found guilty of rape, and a couple cannot approach the court for divorce in less than 1 year of their marriage. This has some exceptional cases. A special session of the Assembly has already been convened till February 8th. If the bill is passed, it's important to note that Uttarakhand will become the first Indian state after independence to have a uniform civil code. Goa has a similar civil code that was implemented during the Portuguese colonial era. Let's go across to a story just coming in the Indian state of Maharashtra. A significant boost to Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Paar. The Election Commission of India on Tuesday declared his faction as the real Nationalist Congress Party. This is being seen as a setback for his uncle and senior leader Sharad Pawar, against whom Ajit Pawar led a rebellion in July last year, 2023, and joined the ruling BJP Shiv Sena government in Maharashtra. The election body cited the test of legislative majority factor, which worked in the favour of Ajit Pawar. The decision comes after more than 10 hearings spread over 6 months. Both factions had staked claims to the party name and also its symbol before the Election Commission. The development is expected to start another legal tussle, however, among the NCP factions and Sharad Pawar-led MLAs. They are expected to approach the court soon. The poll panel has meanwhile provided a special concession to Sharad Pawar to name his new political formation in view of imminent upper house elections. It has been given time to give 3 names by Wednesday evening. Alright, for more on this, we are being joined by our principal correspondent Disha Shah on the phone line from Mumbai. Disha, what will be the implication of a decision like this, considering general elections are just months away now?
Definitely, this is a huge setback for Sharad Pawar because remember, he has been a leader associated with the NCP party since the inception, and now the Election Commission on Tuesday declaring his nephew Ajit Pawar faction as the real NCP, the Nationalist Congress Party. This is something which is a very big setback for Sharad Pawar, considering we are just months away from the general elections. But now, of course, what we understand that the Commission has provided a one-time option to Sharad Pawar to claim a name for its new political formation and provide 3 preferences to it, and the concession is to be utilized by 7th of February, that is tomorrow. And this is something which is definitely a big setback for Sharad Pawar, and we are going to see it as a major blow for his MLAs as well, who have been with the Sharad Pawar faction for a very, very long time. And this is something which is not new. We have been seeing that in July last year, his nephew Ajit Pawar, along with 40 MLAs, had rebelled against Sharad Pawar to join the BJP Sena government, and both the factions had claimed that they were the real NCP. So today the Election Commission has made this very clear. So we have to wait really as to what, further Sharad Pawar faction decides on this.
All right, Disha, we will be tracking that story very closely. Thank you so much for getting us all those updates from Mumbai. Staying with India now, mayoral polls in the city of Chandigarh are at the centre of a new controversy. The row over ballot tampering and election fraud reached the Supreme Court of the country. The Chief Justice of India came down heavily on the election officer in charge, saying the developments amount to mockery and murder of democracy. The Supreme Court on Monday heavily criticised the returning officer who conducted Chandigarh mayoral polls. While watching the CCTV footage of the election proceedings that went viral on social media, the Chief Justice of India, Deputy Chandrachud, observed that it was obvious that the officer had defaced ballot papers to influence election results. The CJI even went to the extent of observing that the presiding officer, Anil Masia, should be prosecuted and that the apex court will order fresh elections if not satisfied with the sanctity of the poll process. The polls in Chandigarh were won by the Bharatiya Janata Party last week, with its candidate Manoj Sonikar defeating the Aam Aadmi Party's Kuldeep Kumar, polling 16 votes against his rivals' 12. But the BJP could secure victory only after 8 of the opposition votes were declared invalid by the returning officer. Defeated candidate Kuldeep Kumar moved to the Supreme Court against BJP and Haryana High Court's refusal to grant an immediate stay on election results. The Aam Aadmi Party alleges that the poll officer deliberately scribbled on 8 of their councillors' votes, making them invalid and lowering the party candidate's total, thereby giving the BJP a victory. The BJP has meanwhile rubbished all of these claims. The 3-judge Supreme Court bench has ordered that the meeting of the newly elected body in Chandigarh, scheduled for 7th February, be deferred, pending further orders. It also asked returning officer Anil Masia to be present before the court on 19th February, when it will hear the matter again, to quote-unquote explain his conduct as it appears in the video. All right, in the run-up to the US presidential elections, the 2 leading parties are holding back-to-back caucuses and primaries. While Donald Trump has a comfortable majority backing his presidential bid in the Republican camp, he remains embroiled in legal battles. But despite all of this, Trump wants to debate the US president. In a radio talk show, the Republican frontrunner said that he wants to debate Joe Biden immediately for the good of the country. The comments come as a surprise to many, since Trump has so far refused to debate any of his competitors from the Republican camp. The former US president has repeatedly snubbed the Republican presidential debates and more recently refused to take the podium against his Republican competitor, Nikki Haley. Haley called Trump, quote-unquote, too chicken to debate her. And now Trump's offer to debate Biden has earned a rebuke from the US president. During a trip to Las Vegas, Joe Biden snubbed his predecessor's dare, remarking that Donald Trump has got nothing to do. It's safe to say that Trump's refusal to stand up to his own competitors had something to do with his popularity amongst the Republican vote bank. But there is nothing out of the ordinary for presidential candidates to face off. In 2020, Trump and Biden debated 2 times during the presidential race. The third face-off was cancelled after the Republican leader tested positive for COVID-19 and refused to engage virtually. Traditionally, 3 presidential debates precede the race to the White House. And now we get you some other election stories making headlines around the globe. On Tuesday, Nevada is hosting the second round of the Republican nomination contest between Donald Trump and Nikki Haley. However, there are really 2 battles. Trump will appear on one ballot on Tuesday and Haley, his final opponent for the Republican presidential nomination, on a separate one on Thursday. The first is state-run primary on February 6th. Haley is on that ballot. The second vote is a caucus on February 8th, organized by the Trump-friendly Nevada Republican Party, with just Trump on that ballot. In India, Delhi's Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has announced free bus travel for the transgender community. Kejriwal said that the proposal will soon seek cabinet approval and the scheme will be implemented within a few weeks. The move comes as India is gearing up for its 2024 national elections. Despite an opposition attempt to halt proceedings in the National Assembly, Senegal's parliament voted to accept an amended election postponement bill. It rescheduled the presidential vote for December 15th. The attempt by a group of opposition MPs from Senegal to stop the legislative vote on delaying the presidential election has caused a national and international uproar. All right, before we wrap up this day's edition of Race to Power, let's go back to Pakistan for a moment for Nawaz Sharif's election rally on Monday. A soft moment in our Power Play segment. We leave you with this. Thanks for watching with me, Ananya Datta.
If you love me, do you love me? Tell me, do you love me? If you love me, then I love you too.
YO1 Health Resort is unique, the only one of its kind. Experience the 4 paths of natural wellness: yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy. Each uniquely customized program improves the whole person to make every person whole. Come to YO1 Health Resort. Make your reservation at yo1.com.
As election fever grips Pakistan, WION gets you all the twists